So here, the Buddha has a lot to say here. The Buddha himself refused to accept anything that hints of payment. So we have a couple of stories. Let's look at one of them. This is on page 110, section 1.4.3. Now you don't need the story because it will be more fun if you listen to me. This is from the Kasi Bharadwaja Sutta. Kasi is the nickname. Kasi here means plowman, plowing. So Bharadwaja is a very big family. Even today you have this Bharadwaja, like the family Tan or them. One of the Bharadwaja persons even came from a Sutta class. I was so happy. I said, oh, you're Bharadwaja. I'm so happy. First of Bharadwaja I've met life. Anyway, so the Buddha, that one morning, decided that this Kasi Bharadwaja, the plowman, is ready for conversion. His mind is right. So he takes his bowl, quietly goes to this plowman, of course, is plowing the field. And then he stands there, and then the plowman says, what are you doing here? He's quite upset. He says, I'm working on this mountain. He's not doing any work, he's standing there looking at me. And he says, he said, I've come for alms, And Kasi Bharadwaja says, I work for a living. What do you do to earn a living? Okay. So, look at this third sentence. Bharadwaja says, as for me, I plow and sow. Having plowed and sown, I eat. This is from Samyutta Nikaya, page 13, line 11. Meaning that he works for a living. Then the Buddha gives a surprise reply. The Buddha says, I too plow and sow. The Buddha is very good talking like that, He gives a surprise reply. And then the farmer is surprised. What do you mean? I don't see your plow, I don't see your seeds, This is just like in the Angulimala story, in the situation where the Buddha is teaching Dhamma to the people. This is something you really must reflect on. This is a very powerful way of teaching the Dhamma without giving a long talk. But you must really know the person well. The Buddha usually used what is called the teaching of the two languages. The two languages. Worldly language, Dharma language. He's not making fun of the audience. He's making the audience open up the mind, and then some audience say, oh, why did I think of that before? And their life changed. For example, Angulimala's case, what is the magic word? The Buddha converted Angulimala with just one word. You know what is that word?
Stop.
Stop. Why? Because Angulimala couldn't catch up with the Buddha for some strange reason. So Angulimala says, stop. The Buddha turns around and said, you stop. I've already stopped. And that changed Angulimala's life. Angulimala said, this is strange. What's this monk saying? I don't understand. Then the Buddha explains. Say, I have stopped because I've stopped killing. You have not stopped. You're still killing. Then at once, Angulimala understood. He was wise enough. So this is where, just now my friend was telling me his work's very tough. All these people in his work, money making, everybody's trying to cheat everyone else. It's really difficult. I say, well, this is where, we don't have to be like that. And then he told me something very wonderful. He is a very kind person. He says, these people, although they are bad, there is kindness in them that they can't see. So I told myself, Angulimala. So Angulimala, he was a good child at first. And then because of circumstances, karma maybe, he went through a lot of suffering. In fact, he went on this killing spree because the teacher wanted 1,000 fingers. So he wanted to give these fingers to the teacher as dakina, as honorarium. But inside is good. So once he heard the Buddha's teaching, he said, oh, that's wonderful. Now I've been thinking of you. So although he's a killer, serial killer, the Buddha was in his background all the time, that he couldn't access that wonderful peace in his mind. But now that he met the Buddha, so happy, he says, now I can throw away all my 1,000 crimes. He's so happy. So this is how the Buddha raised him from the level of worldly level to the Dhamma level. So here, same thing also. The Buddha said, I too plow and sow. So the Buddha is using the language of the farmer. Then the plowman or the farmer says, where are your tools? Now comes this beautiful poem. The Buddha replies in the poem, because these Brahmins are very well educated, so they like to talk in poetry. Faith is the seed, austerity the rain, right? Seed we plant it grows. Austerity means determination, determined practice, strict practice. Wisdom is my yoke and plow. Yoke is something tied to the animal, and the plow. Moral shame is the pole, precepts. The mind is the yoke tie. Mindfulness, my plowshare and goad. Plowshare is the sharp part of the plow that turns the earth. The goad is the stick, okay, that for eating the buffalo. Guarded in body, guarded in speech. Restraint is food for my belly. Truth, I make my weeding, right? So weeding. Weeding is like truth telling. Restraint or meekness, my unyoking. Unyoking means when the buffalo is already plowed the field, the buffalo is free, so the yoke is removed. Effort is my beast of burden. Beast of burden, the buffalo carry heavy things. That brings me to release from bondage. It takes me without turning back, where one goes nevermore to sorrow. This is a reference to Nirvana. Thus is my plowing done. It has the death-free or Nirvana as its fruit. When this plowing is done, one is freed from all misery. Right? So there you Buddha said, in this plowing, you will overcome all suffering. So now Bharadwaja is very impressed. So he offers the Buddha a dish of milk rice. Here again, nasi lemak. This is the real one, boiled in milk, cow's milk, payasa. But then the Buddha turns it down. Buddha doesn't want to accept it. Buddha says, Gata vigitang me abojaneyang sampasatang brahmana nesa dhammo Gata vigiting panudanti Buddha dhamme sati brahmana vuttiresa. Whatever is sung over with verses is not proper to be taken by me. This is not the way, Brahmin, of those who truly see. Buddhas reject what has been sung over with verses. Where there is Dharma, Brahmin, this is the livelihood. Notice, this is the livelihood. But with other food and drinks serve a fully accomplished great seer. Great seer, here noble, here refers to a sage, okay? Whose influxes are destroyed, whose conduct are calm,
whose misconduct
whose misconduct is calm. For this is the field for those looking for marriage. Right? So now, because this has caused a bit of confusion to some people. What is sung over with verses doesn't mean that the Buddha will not accept whatever the Brahmins have used for praying. For example, in my family, my brother when he was alive, he was one of those Christian elders who would not take any family offerings. Anything offered to our ancestors, he would eat. Is it like that? So it's not like that. Because if you look at the virtues of the Sangha, ahunneyo, pahunneyo, dakinneyo, okay? These three refers to the kinds of offerings that the Brahmin make. Ahuna, pahuna, and dakina. Ahuna and pahuna are the offerings made to the sacred fire. So the Buddha said, why do you waste good food thrown into the fire? The fire doesn't eat it. Might as well give it to the monks and the worthy priests and monks. And those monks who practice, they are worthy of the ahuna, they are worthy of the pahuna. Okay? Those are offerings, religious offerings, wasted on the table. You notice sometimes you see on the roadside, people just give some offering to the Preta, something like that. Then dakina is a honorarium you give to the teacher. Donation you give to the teacher. And then after the last one, Anjali Karani, comes together. After this one, we do to everybody. It's a gesture of respect. So in other words, it's not, the Buddha is not saying that whatever is prayed in the other Brahminical religion, monks should not accept. What is meant here is that we do not, especially let's say you invite a monk for chanting, After the monk chanted, it's not like, okay, here you are, this is your fee. It's not like that. In fact, whenever we make a donation, even here, you are not donating because I teach you the Dharma. In that case, then I'm a professional Dharma teacher. Well, the professional in the modern meaning means we make money out of it. But in the old meaning, original meaning before the industrial age is different. That means I profess Buddhism. It's a good word. In other words, I declare I am a Buddhist. I profess Buddhism. But after industrial revolution, the meaning is different. It means I'm going to charge you extra money because I know my job well. There's different meaning to the profession. Yeah? You give because you have faith. You give out of faith. Because if it is professional, then it's a fixed fee. And you must give. But there's no such thing. You give according to your joy, your faith. So when you come to the temple, also you give out of faith. Some people give more, some people give regularly, some people can't afford it, and they do other things, they help around the temple. So we give with faith. That's the meaning. Now once we talk like that, then you have more people who understand it, and they will come and learn. It's no more business. Although in Buddhism we do talk about a certain amount you can give, only recommended 5%. I have not met anyone who actually practices that so far. It would be nice to hear that. By other religions, 10% you must give. In a sense, that's what makes the churches rich. But that's not what we aim for as practicing religion, right? So we give out faith, right? Yeah? So here the Buddha is teaching that this sutta, Kasibharadwaja Sutta, Samyutta Sutta number 4, 1.4, Sutta number 4 in the first chapter. Chapter 1, Sutta number 4. So what the Buddha is saying is that, just now when I came, you did not have faith, right? So this, what you're giving now, you don't have faith. So I can't accept it. I can't accept it at this point. But the important thing is Kasibharaja understood what the Buddha had said, and he converted to refuge. So the Buddha rejected the sun offering because he doesn't want people like us in the future to misunderstand that you are paying for this chanting. So you imagine now what's going on, right? Non-Buddhists do that. We invite professional chanters to and then you got to give an anpao, they open and check, enough money, if not they demand. Right? That is different. We don't do that in true Buddhist practice. In true Buddhist rituals, we ourselves get together in fellowship, full of loving kindness. We chant, we pray for the beloved dead. We do it together. No superstition. And dead body is just for elements without consciousness. Where do we learn all this superstition? From other religions, other culture. We don't need those things. There are other people here, you can contact them to help you with this kind of rituals. So we must give out of faith. So the Dharma cannot be sold. What we are selling at best or at worst is, for example, to pay for the cost of printing the book. Yeah, maybe. But the Dharma is immeasurable. Dharma is timeless. So you have full-time lay Buddhist workers like myself right now. So we have to remember this all the time. So, for example, when people come with the cost, meditation courses, they have to pay some money. That's because we have to pay for the rent. We have to pay for the very high rental of the premises, for example. So that's kind of helping to support this. We are not really paying for the instructions actually. Of course, these are all very technical and so on. That's how we adjust in a modern world, so to speak. But for a layman, it's different, not so much problematic. Right? But for a monk, it's more difficult. A monk or a nun cannot run a center like a mining center, for example. So this is how as laymen, we have more latitude, to say, to teach the Dharma. We can reach out to more people in that sense. No? Now page 115, right livelihood precepts. There's a very interesting set of precepts. Here, before that, they are called the 6 training rules of right livelihood. This is found in the Vinaya. This is what the Vinaya says, page 115. With livelihood as the cause, with livelihood as the reason, one of bad desires, desirous by nature, pretends to a superhuman state that is false and untrue. This entails defeat. Wow, look at that. Defeat, that means you automatically fall from the state of being a monk. So if a monk claims to have superpowers, which he doesn't have. He claims he has attained arahat food, or even stream wind. Then it is one of the four serious rules. No? With livelihood as a cause, with livelihood as the reason, he acts as a go-between. This is an offense, Sanghadisesa, second level of seriousness. Monks cannot matchmake, but be very careful. For example, Sunday school, one cannot say, oh, this handsome boy, what do you make sure with this girl? I have more bigger Buddhist family. You can't do that. Because if this couple start quarreling, they'll think of the monks. The monks put us together, and then they will hit the monk for it. However, something very interesting which I learned in Thailand when in my monks training, we were taught this, I say, monks cannot matchmake, but when a married couple, they want to break up, the monk can counsel them and tell them to think carefully not to break up. That's very interesting. The monk can counsel his husband and wife, say, come on, stay together. So because if they break up, there's a lot of suffering, kids and so on. So this is something very interesting to know about that. So notice Sanghadisesa, this one is a second heavy rule. The Sangha has to meet and decide how to rehabilitate this person. All these are offenses because of livelihood. With livelihood as the cause, livelihood as reason, he says a bhikkhu who lives in a monastery is an arahat. So he claims that there's an arahat in the monastery. This is a grave offense, tulachaya. Okay? It's another offense. Not too bad, but serious enough. These are the different kinds of offenses, Next one is the person who is not sick eats very nice food. He asks for certain kind of food, he himself asks for it. So a monk cannot ask for a specific kind of food, especially when he's not sick. This is expiation, pachitya. Expiation, that means he has to give up that wrong thing. Next one, without livelihood as cause and so on. A nun who is not sick asks for the special food. And this is offense entailing confession. So the nun has to confess it. And the last one is the one who is not sick eats curry or boiled rice. So if he asks for all this for himself, nice curry and rice, not sick. So this is wrongdoing, dukkata. So these are the various kind of offenses. You also imagine a monk cannot ask for things basically. In fact, Buddha Ghosha gives the Vibhanga, Abhidhamma, and Buddha Ghosha give a long list of what to do, what not to do. I'll just take one example to show you. By True Speech, look at True Speech, page 115, right at the bottom. These are things which a monk should not do. True speech, that is by talking, persuading, suggesting, persistence, ingratiating chatter, flattery, being superi, flattery with more falsehood than truth. Praising others even with false words. Fondling means like, those politicians like to hold babies, kind of fondling. On the part of one bent on gain, honor and fame, of bad desires desired by nature. So basically, a monk should not in any way use salesmanship to raise funds. Okay? Recently, I had a bit of a tiff with Ajahn Brahmavanso. He did this dramatic tongue-in-cheek thing. It says, monk for sale. I don't know if you heard about that. Monk for sale. Did you read in the... Well, I think it's good you didn't. Well, I got shocked when I saw it. Actually, one of my students, one of the students, not actually my students, one of the graduates, saw this and he wrote to me and said, is this correct? Monk for sale, Ajahn Brahma was trying to raise funds for nunnery, you see. So I wrote to him, Ajahn Brahma, I said, you should not do this. This is although money is not asked directly, but it involves donation. So this is one of the references I think we should think about. In other words, whatever it is, anything directly or indirectly to do with money, I think a man should not do it. Anyway, it's left to us to think about this. This is just my opinion. So here, when can a monk ask for things? A monk can ask for the four supports from a relative, say from parents or other relatives. They need, maybe they are sick, they have certain food, they can. Why? The main reason is not to burden the donor. In fact, there is another rule, by the way. There is a group of people which the monks and nuns should never go to for alms. Do you know that? There's a very interesting rule. There's a group of people. And these are people who are stream winners and who are poor. So the monks are not allowed to go to them. So once they know they're stream winners and they are poor, these monks never go to them for alms. Why? Because they will give, no matter what, no matter how poor they are. Even if they're eating something, and the monk comes out, they will give that very only plate of rice they have, a bowl of food they will give away. And they will go hungry and they might even get sick or die because of that. So they make a very interesting rule in the Vinaya where a monk should not go to such a place, such a house. Very interesting. Yeah?
Pardon my ignorance. When you say stream winner, I keep hear people use the term other times.
Your question is it?
What's the question again?
What is a stream winner? What is a stream winner?
My question is, monks, I won't use the word asking for donation, but monks indirectly getting support from, you see, they attend a convention, then they say they are from a certain country, you know. The people that are very poor, and then they need books and all that, you know, to support them and so on. So
I will answer the simpler question first. Frankly, personally, I rather say personally, I don't want to speak for you in this case, because this is a new area, right? Some people may disagree with this. Right? My understanding of the Vinaya and monastic training is a monk should never ask for anything, not just money. Should not even ask for robes in that way, especially in a conference. However, there's a way out. If this monk is wise, you get a layman, a kapiya, to stand there while the monk is there. The kapiya can say, I'm speaking on behalf of our Buddhist center, and our Venerable is our teacher. I mean, you can say that, but there is, in no way it implicates the monk. It's not the monk asking, it's the layman asking. And we are properly managing all these things. So if you donate to us, you have a lot of people, then it's okay. There's a lot of these things going on, so now we don't know how to help them. And I get emails from India especially. So we're not a very rich center at all. Huh? Yeah, so my advice is go there and see them, and then see what you can do, like what Firefly Mission is doing. Go there, see for yourself. Because there are also a lot of things you don't know where the money goes. For example, once I sent money, I ordered a book, one of the sutta, I think Milinda Panna, a Pali version. The book never came, the money never came back also. So you have issues like that. So my advice is the monk should not ask. He could have got the kapiya to ask. And he can be just sit there quietly, you don't have to say anything. And this I was trying to tell the forest monks too. Now coming to the difficult question. Stream winner basically is the first stage sainthood. All right? That means we don't have doubt about ourselves being able to, practice the Dharma, that we ourselves can practice the Dharma and gain some level of peace in this life. Number two, we are not superstitious. We do not depend on something outside us in a magical way for safeties, for blessing, for wealth, health, whatever. We don't go to a tree and ask for blessing. We know that we understand nature of karma, and we work hard to be happy and healthy. In other words, we do not we're not attached to vows and rituals. Number one, no doubt, factor of doubt is broken. Number two, factor of attachment to vows and rituals is broken.
You say doubt is doubt of the Dharma.
Yeah, doubt the Dharma, doubting that you can practice by yourself, you can, self-effort you can awaken. That you always must depend on someone else. Okay? Because other teaching will tell you that you are weak, you are a sinner, you can't help yourself. Nowadays you hear that. The third one is we do not have this self-identity view. We understand this body is impermanent, we do not identify with this body, this is my body, I can do what I like with it. No, we understand this. Usually this third one is number one. You let go of the factor of self-identity. So once you have this kind of idea, in this life itself you can become a stream winner. There are 10 suttas in the Samyutta, chapter 25. I advise you to go back and read chapter 25 of Samyutta, S25. There are 10 suttas that you can choose any of the 10. The first two are the easiest. They are all about impermanence. So in other words, just now 3 teachings, breaking 3 fetters, but you can talk of stream meaning in one simple practice, the perception of impermanence. This is the best layman practice, very simple. Constantly reflect on impermanence. Everything is impermanent. This gathering is impermanent. Very soon we're going to finish, half an hour's time, right? And look at our children, they were very young, at first small, and all kinds of, they're big, thinking for themselves. And then everything changes. Everything changes. So if you constantly think that way, when happiness comes, also you say, yes, this is wonderful, this happiness, but it's impermanent. All these kind people are coming to help me, they're also impermanent. Thinking like that, you value them more, and then you try to be kind to them. You know? And something bad happens to you also, you say, oh, this is impermanent, so you suffer less. Now, if you have this kind of habitual practice, the Buddha says, in this life itself, you become a stream winner. If not, definitely at the point of passing away. When I first read, I said, wow, so easy. Eh? I was not so convinced, but when I saw the last sentence, you know, where the Buddha says, if not, definitely at the end of life. Then I said, oh yeah, that's possible. Why? Because if you habitually practice impermanence, then when the last moment comes, because of your habitual karma, you are practicing impermanence. If you understand impermanence, then you'll be calm. Everything you accept is impermanent. Your mind will be peaceful, and then your next life, at the moment of passing away, you're stream winner. Next time, you're stream winner also. Stream winner means you have won the stream, you have gone down into the stream, into the boat that goes to Nirvana. So maybe next life you become an Arahant, maybe one more life to go, then you become one returner, one more life to go, or you become a non-returner. Non-returner, you reborn in the pure abodes, or even Arahant. So we don't think in terms of Arahant, because for laymen it's very difficult for us to be Arahant. Arahant, we totally give up all these sensual feelings, you know. So stream winning means you can still go about your normal business, right livelihood. You live your normal life just as you are now without breaking the 5 precepts. So no big deal. King Bimbisara was an Arahant. Lord Sakra, King Radeva also was said to be a, sorry, not Arahant, stream winner. Okay. And Lord Sakra also said to be a stream winner. Okay, many other people, stream winners, and they are normal supporters of the Buddha. The layman teacher, Chitta started off as a stream winner, and then later became, I think, non-returner. Okay. All right. Now, coming to the right livelihood precepts. Look at page 116. There are 8 right livelihood precepts. Ajivatamaka Sila. This is listed by Buddha Ghosha. The first 3 precepts deal with the body. They come from the 5 precepts. Precepts 4, 5, 6, 7 deal with right speech from the Eightfold Path. And number 8 is abstaining from wrong livelihood. Right? So these are like a set of precepts if you want to practice right livelihood. Yeah? So, abstaining from killing, abstaining from taking the not given, abstaining from sexual misconduct, abstaining from false speech, abstaining from malicious speech, from harsh speech, from frivolous talk, and from wrong livelihood. Right? So the extended 5 precepts plus the precepts against wrong livelihood. So now we're going to page 122. So the aim and purpose of right livelihood ultimately is the mental cultivation. At least to make ourselves and others happy in this life itself. So some right livelihood projects run by lay people, they have yoga classes, of course meditation classes, right? Or they may even have sutta classes. In the UK, US, for example, they do charge, but they normally will say, don't suggested donation. And they just put a board and people give. Now the interesting thing in the West is they actually expect to pay something for everything. This is the capitalist idea. Only in Asia we're not used to the idea. You know, when you say you got to pay, so what? You know, even donate also they are uncomfortable. But in the West it's different. They're willing. They say, well, since you give us something, you're working, and we feel you should be supported. That's the right idea. Because in Asia we have this idea that monks are supported. And actually, in a sense, the Asians are right because we don't give money to the monks and nuns. Because whenever you give, it's like paying, and it's wrong, see? Though we support the love for all the necessities. So this is where later you don't have to get money. But then, you know, the West has come here already, so everything is expensive here. So somehow, especially for lay people to work, you need to support them. So we have to like adjust ourselves how to do it in the right Buddhist way. So the idea of donation would be good. For example, you know, in our regular sutta classes, we never charge people. We just say donation. There's a box there, and we have a Dhammapada verse. Every drop counts. You see, you know. However, for non-Buddhists, we fix a price there because if you don't, they'll think it's a Buddhist activity, so they won't sign up. They won't come. And they have this strange idea: if something is free, it's not good, or something is cheap, also is not good. But they know even that whatever price we give over here, they know in Europe, in America, they have to pay much more. So in other words, we got to know the context also, so that we are self-supporting. At the same time, we use that fund as lay people. Again, I'm talking only about lay people, not monks. We use the funds to print free books and so on. Like now we are working on Super Joys Volume 3 for free distribution also. So that's how we manage funds. We recycle it for propagating the Dharma.
I had a very interesting experience in Dublin.
Okay.
There was this very beautiful church. So I went there. I wanted to go in and take a look on the inside.
Where was that?
Dublin.
Dublin, okay, Ireland.
So I said, oh, you have to make a donation of €3. So I said, since it's only a donation, what if I do not donate? Then the guy told me, you cannot go in there.
You know what he meant is minimum donation. Well, so that's interesting. So in the Buddhist context, that is why this kind of question does arise. So they do put another clause, free of charge for the unwaged. Or they might even charge less for the unwaged. This is very interesting. And they won't question you very much, just say I'm unwaged and they respect me. Like when I went to US the first time, the Zen Center in Berkeley let me stay with them without needing to pay any rent. And they ran courses, they told me, please come join us. They didn't charge us, didn't charge me. So they do have that kind of idea of dharma. They use the word dharma. So that's good. All right. So here, the aim in Light Livelihood ultimately is to give quality of mind, peace of mind, happiness right now, self-help, things like that. Yeah? This is section 2.4. Okay. Now 2.5, we're talking about professionalism. How does Right Livelihood contribute to professionalism? We have the 4 Brahma Viharas, the 4 divine abodes. Loving kindness. Loving kindness is unconditional acceptance of others, including the client. Number 2, compassion. That means we try to help the client, even when the client doesn't deserve it. We show this compassion to the client. Number 3, there is joy. We feel good when the client is satisfied with our service and this client progresses. We're talking about as Buddhists. And number 4, equanimity. We try our best to do Dharma work, right? Livelihood, but we still cannot reach out to everybody. And sometimes some people may not be happy with us. It's okay, we have done our best. So these are the 4 characteristics of a true professional. The 4 Brahma Viharas, divine abodes. So you can read further this section 2.5. I've spoken elsewhere about this. Yeah? Now, wrong livelihood is bad because it promotes suffering. Right? It torments us, it makes us feel stressful, and other people that we do also become stressful. That's why we have to let it go. Some religions actually think that, you know, if torture your body is good, but Buddhism they say no, you should have good health in order to practice the Dharma. So the idea of not tormenting yourself, not tormenting others is very important in Buddhism. The idea is to practice self-restraint, okay? Especially as a monk and a nun, to practice restraint of the senses. Restraint of the senses, that means control of the body, especially your 5 senses. So that when your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind, or at least the eye, ear, nose, tongue and body, physical senses are calm, then you can directly work on the mind. And then you become more peaceful, right? So that's the meaning of the practice of the precepts, Chatu Parisuddhi Sila. the fourfold purification by way of moral virtue. Restraint with regard to the monastic code, keeping to the monk's rules, right? So you become a monk or a nun, that's the first thing you need to do. Number 2, sense restraint. It's natural that you have to be very mindful when you walk, when you talk, and so on. Number 3, full purification of livelihood, right? In other words, you will not do anything for fees, and you will not do the wrong things as a monk. You won't get employed, for example. And the last one, moral virtue with regard to the 4 requisites. The 4 supports you use properly with reflection. All the details are given here in this book. Okay? Now, then for laymen, coming down to more the nitty-gritty, if you like, what are some basic list of things we should not do is given in page 131. In the Vanija Sutta, A5177, 5 wrong traits. Number 1, trading in weapon. A Buddhist should not deal with weapons. Number 2, trading in humans, like slavery, human trafficking, and so on. Human trafficking is a big problem now. Even smuggling humans to say to Singapore, and then they end up, suffering. Trading in meat, which means you have to kill, right? And then trading in intoxicants, which make other people drunk. Trading in poisons or things which are toxic. Not just poison, anything that is toxic. One of my friends who used to work with me in Malaysia, Dr. Wong, he worked with one company that deals with chemicals for plants, and he himself got cancer at a young age, and he died because of this company. So these are 5 kinds of wrong traits which you should avoid.
Excuse me,
yes?
Interruption. Trading in humans. What about trading in small animals, pets and so on?
Technically speaking, it is best to avoid them because they must be caught, you see. And then they have to deprive their own family. Birds are caught, but it happens, So as Buddhists, we got to think carefully. For example, Vesak Day, releasing birds. In Singapore, we are very clear about this. That's one thing good, Releasing fish in the wrong environment, it caused some more problems. So all these are very important to be educated. Originally, the idea is good. For example, letting go of birds means what? These people, before they were Buddhists, they kept birds in the house. So now they become Buddhists, so why don't you free them? Before I was a serious Buddhist, I used to catch butterflies. You have to kill them, You know how you kill them? You squeeze their thorax, And they faint, and then you inject formalin, and then you preserve them. And then label them and so on. And then after I went to the temple, they must say, why you kill butterflies? After I stopped doing it overnight. So these are things we don't have to do. All right? So I would say it's better not to. All right? On the other hand, if animals do come to you, take care of them like cats and so on. Because of course, cats are so used to family. They, by themselves, of course, they can, but they are so used to coming to the house. That's different. The idea is if you take care of animals, you must take good care of them. And in fact, in the list of meritorious actions, the Buddha says, if in the Dakshina Vibhanga Sutta, if you take care of your pets well, you feed your pets well, it's like your marriage 100 times. Don't take that too seriously, okay? It just means many times, So if I actually calculate 100 times. And then if you give to someone, a human being, even though he might not be such a good person, it's much better still. It goes on like that. You give to a good person, as say Narahat, the Buddha. So imagine, the Buddha said you take care of animals. So taking care of animals is different, trapping and selling them. These are finer points. So this is where we try to, as Buddhists, we try not to do.
To the extent of buying fur products and products.
Yes. We don't need those things. Yeah, we don't
Silk
need
items and so on.
Right. We don't need those things. Silk is tricky because it's mentioned in ancient India also. So you've got to kill the worms. All right, so there are some points we have learned, we've studied before. For example, is soldiering, joining the army, is it good or bad? The Yoda Jiva Sutta studies this topic. Here, basically, let me address the issue specifically. Like in Singapore, you have national service. I must clearly say national service is not against Buddhist teaching, because the purpose of national service is not to go to war. It's to train our young people as a phase in life. That's great. Yeah? I don't think any wise leader today will want war, because it really affects the country very badly. Right? So the feeling is wrong. So remember, in right livelihood, we deal with the moment, the event. We don't say all butchers are bad, because there's no such thing as a butcher. No butcher butchers 24 hours a day. It's when they are butchering, that's the wrong point. So if the butcher comes to temple on Sunday, does meditation, that's good. So the wrong thing is the act of killing.
But
Right?
if there's no butcher, we get no meat.
That's true, yeah. So this is why we've got to adjust ourselves a bit, so we cut down on the meat, that's one. Another thing, there's this problem of supply and demand. This is not a proper logical argument. This is a modern economic argument. So they say, oh, if you don't eat, they won't kill. If all the Buddhists in Singapore stop eating, tragically speaking, killing will still go on. It is one thing you've got to understand. The idea here is not to make it a regular thing, and to really, you must have meat or something. So the Buddha allows what's called pawata mangsa, available meat, because he knows that all these people out there who somehow have this meat. So it's available, not specially prepared for the Buddhist or for the monk. They happen to be there, and the families can eat. They take a bit and give to the monk. It's just 4 elements. That is acceptable to that extent. So in that sense, the Buddha is a bit generous, and he has been accused of being too lax there. But I think if you think logically, that is perfectly normal, in the sense that it's a dead body anyway. But of course, ideally, in the future, I have a good idea, where they produce all this useless meat, you don't have to kill them anymore. Right? That'd be wonderful, right?
No, but you talk about the lamas in Tibet. They got no choice but to eat meat because there's very little agricultural products.
Yes, so they got to make adjustments there. So there are gray areas where we try to somehow keep as close to the precept as possible. But where you have the choices to practice the precept, I think we should take those good choices. Yeah? That is why the Buddha says it's really wonderful to be born in the right place with the best conditions. Otherwise there'll be a lot of adjustments, and then you've got to rationalize the adjustments, and then wrong becomes right, then you have a problem. Right, so let's close now a bit with, so when you talk about right level, you also talk about wealth. And according to Buddhism, there are 2 kinds of wealth. You have worldly wealth and you've got spiritual wealth. Worldly, the difference is very important to understand. Worldly wealth is what you have. Spiritual wealth is what you are. You must reflect on this difference. What you have can be lost. What you have can be lost, subject to the 8 conditions: gain and loss, happiness and sorrow, praise and blame, honor and dishonor. Whereas what you are, if you are good, you can never lose them. So the purpose in right livelihood, yes, is to make some money so we can support ourselves. But even if you don't make much money, it's okay, right? Because somehow we can support ourselves. Like, for example, the way we work in the mining center, we have very low budget work, but we can do translations, taping of this talk. And we don't deal with big groups, because we don't need a hall of 1,000 people. Sometimes in the mining center, because of the weather or whatever, nobody comes. So what I have of my permanent audience, not nice, I'm sitting there with the video camera, taping my talk. And after that, we put it on YouTube, anyone can watch. So this talk is always there. Even after I'm dead, you probably are looking at me, I'm dead already. And you are still listening to me, save my life. So these are the wonders of modern technology. Okay? So on that note, I will stop here so a few minutes so we can ask questions.
Last question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the Vinaya rule say monks should not tell both a fortune or feng shui.
Oh, yes.
So can you on this feng shui or what?
If you look at the first 13 suttas of the Digha Nikaya, the very first 13 sutta of the Sutta Pitaka, every sutta has got a long section on listing all the things that the monk should not do. It's somewhere here in this essay also. no fortune telling, no reading of palms, no food reading, a whole list is there, the Buddha says. The Buddha says if you do this, then you are cheating the people who have faith. You don't need to do that, especially fortune telling. You know why? Because if you do fortune telling, then you're telling people like you can cheat karma, you know? It's just like some kind of Buddhism tell you, oh, you can purify your karma. You can do a ritual and then your bad karma is gone. There's only one Buddha I know you want to purify your karma taught by the Buddha. That is true. Loving kindness. You do use loving kindness. That's the only way. So I don't think we should invent new ways. You know, sometimes this is my personal belief, you know, if we keep on believing the wrong kind of Buddhism, the impact of the bad karma is very powerful. You know, the whole of India, at one point in the 12th, 13th century, they started believing all these magical things, tantric things, and then they disappeared from India. I can tell you it's partly karma, or even in a big way it's karma, because it's a wrong dharma. And Central Asia, they have all these beliefs, this superstitious kind of Buddhism. You know? They have something called the Sangatta Sutta, where you just read a few lines from the sutta. It's like you just read a few lines from my translation, and I will free you from all karma. Even the 5 terrible karma, killing a father, killing a mother, killing arahat, shedding blood from the Buddha, and causing dissension, you'll be free from all this. Wow, I got a shock when I read this, because nowhere in the suttas can I find support from this kind of teaching. And they worship this sutta in Central Asia. So in a sense, I'm not surprised when the Turks, marauders came, Buddhism totally disappeared, because they never had the spiritual strength. We don't have the spiritual strength. So only the Dharma can protect us. If you are strong in your faith, then you know, you can, you know what to do no matter what happens around you. Okay?
Even feng shui also.
Technically speaking, yeah, feng shui also. So these are a bit problematic now, you know, because you find the monks do this, they're not meditators anyway. Yeah? So those who are really serious meditators, they're very peaceful. You come to them, you feel so peaceful. You don't need feng shui. Now, once you don't have that, you call it compensation in psychology. You need other things. Of course, the people out there, the crowd out there, love this, but then they are getting, I don't know what they're getting. They're getting the wrong thing. You see. Of course, the monks will be rich. You get big temples, but what is a big temple? It's another big story, right? So what I'm saying is, we want peace of mind. Why don't go directly? Feng Shui means what? Placement of things. This place is so clean and beautiful. We don't need a Feng Shui master for this. You know a place, a shrine must be clean, peaceful. We know the Buddha image, technically speaking, faces the east. Why? Because the Buddha sat facing the sun, it's very cold. And when the sun rises, it's nice, the warm shade, a warm ray shine on you. You know? So it's not about luck. We reflect on the Buddha. So that's a different kind of feng shui. That one is okay, because that one helps us to reflect on the Buddha's qualities. Now these are not evil things. Just taking the long way around. Let me put it that way, because I don't want to be unfair to them also. So Buddhism is so generous, so we say it's okay, you take the long way you want, but here's the highway. So what I always like to say is, tell people they have the choice. You can choose whichever way you like, but this is the straight and safe road. You've got to tell them that, so that they know they're choosing the right thing. And then it's easier for them. You look at these feng shui masters, sooner or later they get into trouble, they find some Nina something, and then they try to get all the wealth. And then now he's gone to jail, isn't it, this guy from Hong Kong, right? So
He's become a Christian.
now remember, all these things, you may get what you want, but there is no morality there. No ethics. Whereas the Buddhist way there.
Last question, the Buddhist monk. Those monks that wrong livelihood, getting money from the people, this is also wrong, right?
Yeah, but right, they should not work for money. Again, here is up to laymen to gently teach them. I think if we go on doing this the right way in the future, they'll be more aware of this. So it's a matter of telling people more about this.
What about approaching this subject through the skillful means of doing things?
Skillful means yes, but I would say it's better done by lay people. I mean, if you have to stretch the Dharma so much like that. Because there'll be intelligent lay people who always complain. People like me, I will complain. Yeah?
Skillful means, I heard a definition of skillful means, that means bringing your level down to the level of the people that is, let's say we come to a group of people who practices feng shui, you know, and they only understand feng shui other than not anything else.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's what we don't want.
Yeah. So we let's say a monk comes, talk to them about feng shui. From there they channel them into.
That's different. Giving talks is different. Giving talks is different. So you get a monk to talk about it. And maybe an ex-feng shui master, now it's a monk, and he talks about it, how you can practice in a natural way. Yeah, that's fine. But using feng shui to help others is a bit tricky. Maybe layman, if a layman uses feng shui to help others and his aim is to bring to Dharma, it's different. So when a monk does it, you have a problem. So these are things, like I said, becoming very fuzzy now. I call it vague Buddhism, because they do not go back to the suttas. This is what all these qualified people with titles say, but you never go back to the suttas. So this is where, if you go back to the suttas, you can be sure where right level is concerned, the monks should not do it.
So I was reading this article recently in the website about this man, engineer, working and doing very well in Google, teaching mindfulness meditation to help Google make money. And
this is today's paper.
you know, and they asked him, is it right or wrong? He said, well, then he thought about skillful means. No?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I have one professor saying it's wrong.
It's wrong.
Yeah, you have to read this. You're not being given
I've
this.
not read this.
Just kind of take this. Okay. Anyone else don't have this? Okay. This is the original version. Which is different from the Straight Times.
Six I don't have.
Straight Times they took up certain parts.
Extra copy?
Yeah, some
Yes, I-
different.
No, this one.
Yes, this no. Straight Times to this Straight
Oh, Six
Times.
times later, okay.
This one is the original article. Here they shortened it and removed the name. So we can reach the original
Big
version.
thing in America, not only America, many places.
The Americans are criticizing this. And so I think it's wise for South America, locals also to read this article. Okay, on that note, I'll end this class. Because a short reflection. Buddhism is full of choices for us. We can choose different ways to be happy, in other words. As lay people, our choices is much more. We can use the skills we have been training, the skills that we are qualified in a positive way to promote Buddhism so that we are happy, other people are happy, the environment is sustainable. So this is right livelihood, using whatever is at our disposal in the right way. And in a sense, we pay back, give back to our environment so that it is habitable and beautiful. We can meditate, we can build up our minds so that it becomes a vehicle to awakening. Reflecting in this way is very wholesome. We create good karma. By the power of such good karma, may our minds be at peace. May in this life itself we attain spiritual liberation, namely streaming. In this moment of peace, let us send our loving kindness to all those people who have been kind and helpful to us. People who have come here and dedicated their time and energies and wisdom. May people whom the Dharma have not touched to come closer to the Dharma and be free from suffering. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.